Hi guys, I'm from Simply Music Resources. I'm a third year music student at the University of Wolverhampton on the Music Technology and Popular Music course. So my name is Mitch and I've been a guitarist for quite a few years, and I'm going to be taking this video for your GCSE revision. We're going to be looking into Sonority, which can also be known as Timbre, so let's get into the video. So the biggest question to answer is, what is sonority? Sonority is another word for timbre, so it's another way of saying it. Sonority and timbre both mean the character of the musical instrument. So if someone asks, what is the timbre of an instrument, they're asking what the character of it is. Different musical instruments have different timbres or different characters, and therefore they can fill different roles because of their different sounds and characteristics. So a couple of key terms to get into in the video. The first one is instrumentation. So instrumentation refers to the instruments or voices that are used in a composition. It can also refer to specific instrumental techniques, which all instruments have. A few will share different techniques, but a lot of instruments will have their own specific techniques. These specific instrumental techniques can also be used to create different timbres when using them. Another to take a look at is orchestration. The orchestration of a piece of music is how the instruments are arranged together or scored. So, which instruments play the melody, which play the accompaniment, and other types. So now let's look at some of the specific instrument techniques we were just thinking about. So, terms refer to techniques can be used on specific instruments. Glissando, a continuous slide between two different notes. Pizzicato, which is the plucking of a stringed instrument with fingers, so a great example for this could be the violin. Vibrato, to vibrate the string of an instrument, which would result in a change of pitch, whether it's up or down or just ever so slightly moving, and there are quite a few others. So you also get different types of instrument families. So a couple of the classic ones you can see on the board here. So you can have strings, woodwind, brass, percussion, and different techniques can be used on different instruments to get a different sonority or timbre. So it can be a great way to change up your music. So let's take a look at some electronic string instruments. The big two, generally speaking, are the electric guitar and the bass guitar. So an electric guitar uses a pickup to convert the vibration of the strings into an electrical signal. These then go out of the guitar cable and into the guitar amplifier, and that's where you'll hear it come out as the sound. So guitar amplifiers are a great way to change up the sound of the guitar as well, which is something we might take a look at shortly. So the electric guitar is really common in a lot of rock music, but can also be found in other types of popular music, mostly thanks to the diversity of the instrument itself. It can be found in everything from jazz to different types of metal, just because of the amount of different sounds the guitar has. Bass guitars work in a similar way to electric guitars, but they're lower than electric guitars, which is why they can work quite nice when you use them together. And as you can see on the right here, we have Brian May demonstrating the electric guitar. So, just as we looked at earlier, we've got some specific instrument techniques. As a guitarist, I'm going to use guitar examples to show you how you can get different sonorities out of the guitar. We'll take a look at them. So let's take a look at some of the guitar-based techniques. The first one is the bottleneck. So this is the technique of playing the guitar with a sliding tube, which can either be made of metal or glass, along the strings of the guitar, so up here over the top of the frets, to alter its pitch. This can often be found in bluegrass music. So this isn't a technique that I tend to use, but it is very common in specific types of music, and it can be a great way to change up the sound of the guitar. Another technique, which is a very, very common one, is distortion. This happens when an amplified sound is changed to create the fuzzy or growling tone on a guitar. It can be done using a pedal or just a guitar amplifier, and distortion can also be called overdrive, and it's really common in a lot of heavy metal and rock music, although it's also quite common in popular music, with one of the latest examples that comes to memory being the guitar solo from Take What You Want by Post Malone. So distortion, you could start off with a cleaner guitar sound, with a like that, and then if you were to turn up the gain, then you would turn it up, and it would start to become more distorted, like that. So it's a lot of guitarists will call it a kind of crunchy tone. Another technique to look at is the pitch bend. This is a very, very common one used by lead guitarists, and the way it works is that they pick a fret and they will then play the note and push their fingers up on the fretboard, and as the string gets tighter, when the string moves up, the pitch also goes up. This is really common in a lot of music styles since it's just a very common way for guitarists to do a guitar solo. For example, if we take the 15th fret on the B string, that's what it sounds like. And if you were to bend it up, so up a tone, which is 2 notes, then you can start to add things like vibrato as well. You can bend it to try and match it, so bend that D note as it is as a starter, up to an E, which would sound like that. And you can use another E note to try and get it there. As close as you can. So another one you can use is pull-offs. So pull-offs can be used by guitarists to create a legato type sound. They can also be mixed with hammer-ons for that purpose. It's a really good way for guitarists who want to play fast, since it doesn't require as much picking, so it gives your right hand a little bit of a rest. But it can also be a nice way to add in a little bit of a dynamic change in your music. So a guitarist will pick a note on the string and then pull their finger off of it, and because they will have already placed another finger behind it, the note will then change to that. So like this, for example. On the A string, if I place my ring finger on the 12th fret, and then behind it, I put my first finger on the 10th fret. While my finger is on the 12th fret, there's no change in sound. So I can leave my first finger on that 10th fret, and when I play the 12th fret, if I drag my finger down and off the string slightly, because my first finger is also on that same string, it will then ring out with that note. So it can be done quite fast, and it can be mixed with hammer-ons and pull-offs to get different types of tones and sounds as well. So another few techniques are harmonics. So natural harmonics are a musical note that are produced by reducing or amplifying vibrations of overtones on a guitar string. So this is played by lightly placing your finger over the fret that you're targeting, and when the string is picked, it will vibrate at a higher frequency than the fundamental tone, which will produce the harmonic itself. So on guitar, these can be done in quite a few places, but the most common places for them are the 5th, 7th, and 12th frets. So if we take, for example, the 12th fret on the high E string, you would place your finger over the top of the fret closest to the bridge. So the 12th fret, and then the metal that's closer to the bridge on the 12th fret. And you can then get this type of sound from just resting your finger over the top of it. So if you were to play it normally, you get this. And if you were to rest your finger lightly over the top of that fret, you get this, which can be quite nice, and they can be used for a variety of different things as well. So another type of harmonic is the pinch harmonic. So this is slightly different to the natural harmonic, and it's produced when a guitarist picks the string and then the thumb or your index finger catches the string just after you've picked it, which is a very difficult technique to show. And this causes the fundamental tone of the string to be cancelled, but it doesn't cancel the overtones, which is why you get the high-pitched kind of squeal. So this as well can be combined with vibrato to get some really nice sounds and different tones. It's very commonly found in a lot of metal, but it's not just in metal, it's also used in many different genres. And a lot of the time, the gain on the guitar is what really helps to bring the squeal out, which is why so many metal musicians like it. So you would pick the fret as normal, but then you kind of roll your thumb to hit the string to get that kind of sound. And then when combined with some vibrato, it gets the kind of squeal. There we go. Another technique we can look at is the palm mute. So this one is a great dynamic choice to use, and it's used by many, many guitarists across all genres because of its utility. So a palm mute is when a player places the side of their picking hand below the little finger across the strings that they are picking, really, really close to the bridge. So the way it actually works is that you don't actually use your palm, because that will be this part of the hand. We're actually using the side here, just below the little finger. And you place it over the top of the bridge of the guitar, which is this here. So just there, just past the bridge. And when you play the strings, they're really dampened, which is what creates that muted sound. So if you were to play something without a palm mute, then you'd get this. If you were to palm mute it, then you would get this. So it's a great choice for a different change in tone, or it can also be combined and you can have both of those guitar parts playing at once to create something interesting. So all of these techniques can also be done on bass to different kind of areas of success. Some work better, some don't work as well, but they can all be done. So the next thing to look at is different vocal ranges and techniques. So as you can see on the right, there's plenty of different voices for vocals with a description and some examples. You can Google these and find your own examples as well. I'd highly encourage your research into them. I won't be doing any of the examples myself since I'm not a vocalist, but you can find these examples yourself as a bit of research to look into them. So just like any other instrument, vocals have their own techniques. Vocals, just like guitar or other instruments, can do vibrato. So this is where the pitch is rapidly changing up and down. In vocals, it can really help to bring out some warmth and richness, and the technique can be used by a lot of opera singers, although it will find its way into almost every genre. Falsetto is another technique, which is when a male singer sings in the soprano or alto range, he is singing in falsetto. It can also be known as countertenor. It's very, very high, and it's very hard to do. Belting is another technique. Belting is when a singer uses their chest voice and it really pushes out the sound. It can be found in popular music and jazz as well as other genres. Sometimes, if it's not quite performed correctly, it can sound like shouting, so it's important to do it with good technique to get it sounding nice. So another technique would be scat. This is a improvisation technique for vocals where they usually sing using wordless or nonsense syllables. So Ella Fitzgerald would be a really well-known scat singer if you wanted to check some of that out and find some other examples. Another technique is rap. So this is when an artist speaks words rhythmically. They can also rhyme as well. They don't have to, but they regularly do. And it's usually done quickly over an instrumental or electronic backing. And this one is still really popular to this day, and people are always trying to invent new styles and new methods of creating rap music to keep it fresh. Beatboxing is also another technique, and this is where the voice imitates the sound of a drum machine. This can be really popular in hip hop music, and it's a really interesting technique to take a look at. So for any of these, feel free to go online and find your own examples to take a look at. There's a wealth of information online. Just because I haven't done the examples myself doesn't mean that you can't go and find some. So that was my video. Thank you for watching. If you've got any other questions, feel free to comment. Please check out our other videos as well about the music theory topics that we've done. I hope that that's helped with your revision, and I hope that you've at least learned something new. So thank you for watching.